There is heavy individual responsibility for the church to be a congregation that edifies. And that's where this idea of devotion to the church plays in strong. Hebrews 5, verse 12 through 14. For by this time you ought to be teachers. You need someone to teach you again the first principles of the oracles of God, and have come to need milk and not solid food. Everyone who partakes only of milk is unskillful in the word of righteousness, for he is a babe. But solid food belongs to those who are of full age, that is, those who by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil. Now, what did he say here? Well, he taught us about the importance of studying the Word. We understand that. Those exercising their senses. But who's he addressing? Is it the epistle to elders of the congregations throughout the New Testament world? Is it the epistle to evangelists? Is it addressed to deacons? It's the epistle to the Hebrews. This is written to Jewish Christians. This is for everybody. And what did he say to all Christians? He said, by this time you ought to be teachers. There may be some capacity that you aren't able to teach in, but find the one you are able to teach in and do that. To do that, you have to study for practical application. James 1, verse 21 through 25 says, therefore lay aside all filthiness and overflow of wickedness, and receive with meekness the implanted word, which is able to save your souls. But be doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. For if anyone is a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like a man observing his natural face in a mirror, for he observes himself, goes away, and immediately forgets what kind of man he was. But he who looks into the perfect law of liberty and continues in it, and is not a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the work, this one will be blessed in what he does. This passage emphasizes the manner in which we study and receive the Word, and we receive the Word not as just somebody who collects the facts or collects knowledge, but we receive it as a doer of the Word. We look into that law and we continue in it, and that's the one who's blessed in what he does. Look, you can learn a lot of facts about the Bible and not be good at studying the Word. You can gather tons of truthful information, but it's not going to help you unless you obey it. Years ago, I was at a bookstore and I was shopping their religious books, and I picked up a small commentary. It was super fine print, so it was a commentary of the whole Bible, kind of in just a single volume. And I was thumbing through it with interest. It looked pretty good. It had a lot of good information in it. I looked at the author, and I'm still having a hard time believing that I read it right. It was Isaac Asimov. Okay, I know one of you knows who Isaac Asimov is. If you don't know who Isaac Asimov is, he wrote science fiction. He was very well known for that. He was also, to my understanding, an atheist. He didn't believe in God. He wasn't a Christian. But he had tons of useful information in that Bible commentary. Surely he didn't write that. Here's the point. You can gather all kinds of facts, but it doesn't matter till you do something with it. It's great to hear, but it will bless you to hear and do. So we study with a purpose. The Bible is not a book of strange and curious wonders that we're supposed to just puzzle over. It's a book with practical instruction, and we're to study in a search for that practical instruction to see how to apply it to our lives to draw closer to God. And there are going to be aspects of that you figure out that I may not have figured out, so tell me. And I'll do the same for you, and let's do the same for each other. And when we are a hungering, obedient student of the Word, that's what happens. Think of the culture of the church. I'm 54 years old, was born in 1963. I'm giving you that information to give you a kind of point of reference of the timeline of my life. I remember as a little boy in the church, our family attending gospel meetings, and after services we might go to someone's house for a fellowship or something like that. And I remember the men sitting around in the living room talking about the Bible. And they might stand in the foyer after the services talking about the Bible. And I remember times guys just getting together for coffee and talking about the Bible. It just seemed like everywhere we went, that's what all the old guys did. My dad loved to do that. I remember us going to just visit families or families coming to visit us. And the guys just sat down and talked about the Bible. I don't know what the ladies were doing. That was happening somewhere else. My brother and I were sitting with Dad, listening to all the old guys talk about the Bible. Has that changed any? Well, I would say in the years that I've been a Christian and the years I've been doing full-time work, that we've gone through a cycle where that's changed, where you didn't hear a lot of that. There was getting together and doing other things and discussing other things, but there wasn't as much getting together and talking about the Bible. And I figured out some guys weren't comfortable doing that because they had no clue what to say. They didn't study. Now let's think about what we see today. I'll tell you what I've seen since I got to town. Even young guys standing around talking about the Bible. I think that's something that's kind of turning back around. I see a lot more of that in the church now than I did 15, 20 years ago. I hope that represents that somewhere along the way we've emphasized the importance of personal study enough that church culture is swinging back in a better direction. They're guys that, if I get with them and we take off together somewhere, I can't get far down the road before they're starting to pick the brain and they want to talk about what they've been studying lately. And you can tell they've really been studying and digging, not just for a pile of facts, but for practical, applicable knowledge. And that's the kind of people we need to be in order to be equipped to edify each other. We've got to study to grow. 1 Peter 2:2, as newborn babes desire the pure milk of the word, that you may grow thereby. It's unbelievable how much babies crave pure milk. They want it so bad, they will wake you up in the middle of the night and not bother them one bit that they've woken you up because they want it. When our kids were little, the first child, it fascinated me so much. When she started crawling, I'd hold that bottle in front of her and just pull it just to watch her, just come after it. Had to be careful not let the wife catch me doing that. Okay. She didn't find amusement in that the way I did. But I would just watch it. This is incredible. How much she craves this. Every part of the instinct says, I need this to grow. Wasn't even a conscious decision. It's just an instinct. I need this to grow. That's how he wants us to feel about the Word. To just have an instinctive craving. You might struggle to imagine how you could develop that. I'll tell you, you get in the Word and you stay, and you study, and you apply it, and you talk to your brothers and sisters about it, and before long you'll experience it. If you don't feel it now, you will. You just do it. Take that challenge. That can be cultivated in a person's heart. And we need to cultivate that, studying with a purpose to grow so we can be stronger in the faith. Colossians 1 verse 9 and 10 describes this process. For this reason we also, since the day we heard it, do not cease to pray for you and to ask that you may be filled with the knowledge of His will in all wisdom and spiritual understanding, that you may walk worthy of the Lord, fully pleasing Him, being fruitful in every good work and increasing in the knowledge of God. So here's a person that's growing in knowledge, and what does that do? That causes them to walk worthy, to be fruitful in every good work, and to continue increasing in knowledge. The more you apply it, the faster you'll learn. And so you study to grow, and that fills your lives with good work. And then what does that do? That makes someone else ready to receive what you have to offer. And with that, then, we turn to edify one another.